Hey guys, welcome to Add to Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Add to Houston Communications Chair, Erica Gordon. Tonight we're talking with Clear Channel Outdoors Marketing Manager, Brad Ford. Hi Brad, thanks so much for joining us.
Hello.
So as usual, I'm going to start the interview off with a few general questions, but all throughout the interview, you guys at home can tweet in your questions for Brad with the hashtag Add2Live, and I'll ask them for you. So, Brad, tell us a little bit about Clear Channel Outdoor and your role there.
Well, Clear Channel Outdoor is the second largest out-of-home company in Houston, and we're nationwide. We handle all kinds of out-of-home products, from bulletins to posters. We have some new featured products that we're just bringing to market that are trying to bring Clear Channel and the out-of-home products and markets to a little bit more of the modern age. We have our digital products, which are digital billboards that you can see throughout the city. And we're also bringing some new products that are mobile marketing based, where we're serving up ads on mobile devices, and brand new product that they're just rolling out utilizes some of the tracking capabilities that the mobile technology uses to help bridge the gap and show return on investment for our inventory, to help the buyer and the client understand a little bit better how we deliver our audience. So I am the marketing manager there. My role is I wear a lot of hats in my role. As the marketing manager, I manage a team of 2 graphic designers. We also have 2 photographers that are full-time on staff, and they drive around the market and take photos of our bulletins, our billboards, to provide a photo proof to our clients that we did what we said we were going to do. And then I also have a marketing specialist that works directly with me. And me and the marketing specialist, we handle a lot of the research that helps the account executives justify our products and how they serve our customers and our clients. It helps provide metrics, research metrics that show how many people or impressions that the billboard is providing. We also have access to research tools such as Scarborough and Media Monitors and Kantar, which those 2 products provide competitive market research. So we kind of pull all those different pieces together, and we'll typically put them into some type of final polished Clear Channel branded proposal that the account executives will then take directly to the clients and show them how we sell out of home.
Okay, so you mostly do the marketing for just clients. Like, do you do the marketing strategy for like in-house, like for Clear Channel as well?
As much as there is, we do promote ourselves. We have a Facebook page, and we promote ourselves just in the market as well. We are involved in some social or some networking with some networking groups here locally, advertising groups here locally in Houston, and that would probably be the closest we'd get to actually promoting ourselves from Clear Channel itself. And it just simply has a lot to do with the fact that Clear Channel is just such a recognizable name that Clear Channel and iHeartRadio are just something that most people already know. And being that it's either, if you're in the market for billboards in Houston, it's either Clear Channel or Outfront Media, and it's one of the 2 of us. And if you're in the market for an outdoor campaign, you're probably going to end up contacting us. So a lot of my marketing efforts really are directed more towards the client itself, and developing plans and helping bridge the gap of understanding with that.
Gotcha. Okay, so kind of break down your day-to-day responsibilities for us as a marketing manager. Like, what's your typical day like?
Yeah. Kind of the great thing about it is that there's not really a typical day. And honestly, I think that's kind of why I like marketing and why I got involved in it. When I got started in this, this business, I started out as a computer graphic designer, and I did design work on Macs, and that led into some management positions where I had an opportunity to kind of get my feet wet and run a team, and that's really when I kind of discovered that that I was well suited for it, and that I really liked it, because it's one of the things that more than anything that you have to do is you have to be adaptive. At any given time, the marketing department is pretty much, particularly, well, in most businesses and most companies that I've worked for, and this is true at Clear Channel as well, the marketing department is somewhat the catch-all or the problem solvers for whatever company you're working for, whether it be things that are in the wheelhouse of the marketing department, like research or creative development, or a lot of times I've been the IT and technical problem-solving leg or arm of the company that I work for. But back to what I was saying about the adaptability and just not knowing what you're going to get when you come in. At any given time, somebody's got a fire, somebody's got a problem. Marketing is usually the one that tries to help solve those. And a typical day would involve kind of what I already touched on, some pulling of some research data, putting together some PowerPoint presentations. Particularly where I'm at now at Clear Channel, we not only service and provide marketing support for the sales team, but we also have internal teams. I serve the branch president with any kind of upper level type high visibility projects that she might be working on. We have a real estate department that works on our locations and actually finding new inventory and any kind of tear downs that we might have to have. We work with the real estate department to produce one sheets and collateral items that they then take to their leaseors. And then I'll also work with our public relations department, just providing them with just whatever they might need, whether it's PowerPoint presentations or one sheets or photography, or we're just kind of the keeper of all the information, and just whatever resources we might need to call on is what we do on a daily basis.
That is a lot.
Our days are busy typically, yes.
Yeah, you weren't kidding about the multiple hats.
No.
Let's see. So with all that in mind, what would you say is a good skill for a marketing manager looking to stand out to have?
Well, I don't know. That's an interesting question. Other than the adaptability aspect, it's kind of interesting because the term marketing manager is really broad. It really varies from position to position, and depending on the client and just kind of the needs of the role itself. And I think that the skills that you would need to be successful in a given role really kind of hinges on what type of role that marketing manager is playing in that organization. I think this almost sounds like a canned textbook response, but I think that time management is without question one of the things that certainly keeps me on track on a daily basis, and the ability to be able to multitask. I mean, at any given point, I've got two monitors on my desk. I'm looking at either one of them. My phone's typically ringing. My cell phone's usually ringing. There's somebody standing at my door. There's usually somebody sitting in my guest chair. I mean, it's a nonstop ongoing battle to just try to keep treading water and keep your head above water. So if you're not good with time management and you're not good with your multitasking skills and being a people person, I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of the essence of what we do in the marketing department, whether or not we're interacting with clients out in the field or whether we're interacting with the sales staff internally. You've got to have good people skills and be able to adapt and work with all the different types of personality types that you run into on a daily basis.
Okay, so taking things over to Twitter, you mentioned earlier that when people want to buy billboards in Houston, it's pretty much either you guys or Outfront Media. So one of the questions we have is, what sets Clear Channel apart from the competition?
Well, Clear Channel strives to provide a level of customer support and added value. It's really kind of how we make our value proposition to our clients. A lot of our sales staff has great leadership with our general sales manager there at the local branch. And one thing that really appealed to me when I started working there was the fact that even though we are in sales and at the end of the day, it's all about making the sale. And while that is true, it's also important that we are a valued, we're a valued to our customer, and that if we go in as an account executive, or whether I've fed information to our account executive and they go in and have a conversation with a client, it's important that if they talk with the client and they find out that our features or our benefits that's for our out-of-home product might not necessarily be a good fit for them right now, that they understand that, and that they're not just trying to press the sale just to get the sale, but instead they want to be of value to the customer. And I think that's important, because if you give them what they need and you're successful in doing that, that may mean that you're not necessarily providing them the product right now, but down the road you're perceived as an expert in your field. And at that time later down the road, they're going to call you because you did the right thing and you came across as a trusted value partner in the relationship. So,
right. Okay. Let's see. So what all would you say should a good marketing strategy entail?
Well, that has a lot to do with the goals that you're trying to achieve. I think that, as in with most cases, that diversity is really helpful, and you don't necessarily want to put all your eggs in one basket. It all just kind of depends. Budget is huge. It'd be nice to do a television, radio, outdoor campaign and have a good marketing mix, and you can do that on a lower budget. A lot of larger companies are more successful with larger marketing budgets, and being able to have that repetitiveness and that frequency that makes marketing campaigns successful. But on a lower budget, you can still do it through social media and more grassroots efforts. And not to toot my own horn, but outdoor is a great vehicle for that, because it delivers high impressions at a low cost. So you get a nice cost per point and a cost per thousand. Okay.
Let's see. Another question we have is, are billboards still effective for advertising? How much of my budget should
be allocated?
I guess it might have been a typo, but I'm thinking that's what she meant.
How effective are billboards? Well, I kind of touched on that just now. When I first got into the outdoor arena, I had been a media buyer at previous agencies before, and I had pretty much basically bought broadcast. So I didn't know a whole lot about out of home and outdoor in general until I started working there. And when the curtain was pulled back, my eyes were opened, and it really was something. And it's hard for me to say this without sounding biased, but just the cost effectiveness of billboards, particularly for either a company that doesn't have a whole lot of budget, or a larger company to add outdoor to their marketing mix. You reach a ton of people that are on the freeways, and Houston particularly, and as most major metropolitan areas are, their traffic is, it's traffic based. So you're sitting on the freeways, you're sitting in front of billboards, whether it's a Clear Channel billboard or a out front billboard or whoever it might be. You can't. We like to say that billboards are unskippable. In today's digital world, everybody is all media is fragmented. If you're watching TV, you're usually on your iPhone, or you're listening to the radio, or you may be listening to Pandora and you're skipping commercials, commercial free, or whatever the case may be. But when you're stuck on the freeway in traffic and you're in front of one of our billboards, your message is our content. So. Yeah. You can't turn it off. You can't, short of closing your eyes while you're driving, you can't do anything to avoid it. So from that perspective and the cost perspective, I think it's highly effective.
Okay. Another question we have on Twitter is, if you want to move your career to marketing, what is the first step?
Well, I think that's kind of an interesting question, because it is, I'm sure there's many paths that you could take to get there. I started as a graphic designer and kind of worked my way up. I had some of the most despicable jobs that I've ever had, being a graphic designer in my early years, just pretty much working in a sweatshop from 12 hours a day. And unfortunately, it's just kind of one of those things where you just have to kind of pay your dues. There's a lot of desire out there for people to work in marketing. I've seen it from the agency side. A lot of young, eager talent that came in, and while I probably learned more in my career than I ever had anywhere else while I worked at an ad agency, I also had some of the longest hours and the least amount of job satisfaction, I guess, from what I did, just because they have a tendency to work you pretty hard at an ad agency for not too much money. But the exchange on that is that you almost can't do better in adding to your resume and adding to your just general knowledge about how everything works.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. If the client wasn't a good fit at the time, how do you maintain your relationship with them so that when they are ready, they reach out to Clear Channel?
Well, I think that's about building that trust that we talked about a little bit earlier. You'd be amazed at how just being perceived as that expert in the industry, people need somebody to call when when the need does arise. And when you're a sales associate or making a sales call, you very well may be reaching out to the customer when they're not in their planning period. They're not putting their budgets together for the year. And I've been on both sides of this, where I'm watching the cold call, and I've been the one on the receiving end where I've received the phone calls. And in a lot of times when you're on the media buyer and you're receiving the phone calls, you just say, your kind of canned response is, don't call me, I'll call you. I know who you are. I know what your product is. And sometimes they do, and oftentimes they may think they know about the product, but they may be misinformed. So I think that's how you build that trust, is not forcing the sale, and instead just coming to them with all the features and benefits that your product offers. And if it's not a good fit at this time, then letting them know that that's okay, and that they can get in touch with you when it is a good fit.
Okay, so another question we have is, what are some new and up and coming trends you've noticed in outdoor advertising?
Well, some new trends is that we're one of the oldest outdoor is one of the oldest vehicles for advertising, and we've had that those same features and benefits for years. And as we entered into the digital age, we've needed to find a way to make ourselves continue to be relevant.
Right.
The newspaper industry has really seen this, and they've somewhat done the same thing, where they've tried to take their publication online and tried to make it where it's more accessible, more searchable, and more available, particularly to a younger audience. The same thing can somewhat be said about out of home and Clear Channel in general, that we, some of our new products are digital products, which I don't know how many of y'all out there are familiar with what our digital products do, but it's our digital billboards, and they have 8 different ads on them that cycle every 8 seconds. So they change to another ad. So it gives us the ability to be able to put more advertisers on a single location, and it's a great looking product. With one of the other things that we're doing is mobile technology. We're just getting into this, where we're partnering with a company that allows us to be able to serve ads to individuals that pass our billboards, and we can either serve them up an ad then at the time when they go by the billboard, or at a later time. And the idea behind that is to extend our advertising message. So when you see it on the billboard, you're also getting a secondary message at a later time that reinforces that that message that they've already paid so much money for whether it's broadcast or TV or broadcast or radio. And you're just getting another touch point, which just speaks to that reach and frequency, and that constant reminder that McDonald's has a dollar menu, value menu, or whatever the message might be.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know about that mobile thing. I hadn't heard about that. So you said that the billboards, for the digital ones, it switches every 8 seconds. Is that seems like, I don't know, kind of fast if you're, well, I guess, go ahead.
Well, that's all right. That's kind of the thing of it is that in most instances, because all of our digital inventory currently is on the freeways. So the idea being is that if you're moving at a posted speed along a freeway, that you might have the ability to be able to see a full advertiser, or possibly even 2 in the time it takes to get by. So when you think about it, it's not necessarily intended to see all of the advertisers in one setting, unless you're sitting in front of just stopped, parked in traffic. So you kind of think about it as it's the dynamicness of the digital product, where there's 8 advertisers able to share that space, and they know they're not all going to get in front of any one given person, but they're going to have space on that as well. One of the other benefits of our digital products is the flexibility, because unlike our static or traditional inventory, we don't have to have a big 14 by 48 vinyl printed and installed on the billboard itself. We can push creative in an instant to the outdoor product, to the digital billboard, and we can update the creative as many times during the day as we want to. One of the good examples that we share with our clients is what they call day parting, where for McDonald's, using McDonald's again as an example, McDonald's can put their breakfast menu up, they can put a lunch special up, and then they can put a dinner special up. And with our traditional static products, you wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to change your message throughout the day. They can also incorporate Twitter feeds and different dynamic content where it can show basic RSS feed information, such as temperature, time, and just show some dynamic real-time content on the board as well to just give it that little bit of that more modern feel.
Okay, that's interesting what you were saying about social media, because we actually have a question on Twitter. It's, have you integrated social with your outdoor marketing? What kind of campaigns, if so? And so you said that you can see people's Twitter feeds, like on the billboards?
Yes, we do set up campaigns where we have a partner that that basically kind of polices our Twitter to make sure that there's no profanity or anything, because obviously our products are out in the public, and we don't want little Susie in the passenger seat driving by and asking mom what that word is. So we have a company that polices that, and it's kind of the same thing. They have access to a feed. The Twitter feeds come in as long as they're approved. They're fed to the board, and we develop or design the creative in a manner where there's just more or less kind of a space that's allocated for the text to appear, and then the rest of the creative is built around that. And every time the board flips and changes, because there's some traffic and road issues that have to be met to make sure that we're not a distraction to the side of, to drivers that are driving by. So there can't be movement, there can't be and that's why they only change every 8 seconds. So there's not a lot of movement, there's not a lot of change, there's not a lot of distraction. So every time it flips, there'll be a different Twitter feed, and whatever the campaign might have been. We've done some big campaigns out of our New York office for the launch of Justin Timberlake's 2020 album. There was also a big launch with just prior to that for an album that Lady Gaga came out with, and there were some social media campaigns that were around that posted Twitter feeds and whatnot, and some of our bigger digital products that are like in Times Square, and they were pretty successful.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another question on Twitter is, what is one of the most challenging things you have to overcome in your market?
One of the most challenging things. I would say just in general, the sheer area that we have to cover. We run across challenges on a daily basis based on a geography. Whether it's my photographers that have to drive down to Galveston and take one photograph of one billboard, and there's nothing else around that area that might have just been posted that they've got to take a photo of. And there's also challenges on our operations team where, we understandably, there's a whole team of people that are out there installing these vinyls that are crawling up 60 feet in the air to install these vinyls on some of our more static traditional inventory. And, they've got to drive from Conroe to Galveston and, Baytown to Katy and everywhere in between. So there's a lot of challenges that are met just from the sheer geography of our market. And a lot of people that are not in our market don't necessarily understand, well, why don't you just run down to Galveston and get that photograph? Well, all right. Well, that's an hour and a half one way, So people just that aren't accustomed to markets this large and at this size, it doesn't necessarily resonate with them.
Right. So we are coming up on our 30-minute mark. So I'm going to ask one more question and then we're going to wrap things up. Let's see. So what is your favorite creative or guerrilla marketing billboard that a client has done?
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a tough one to answer. Just because a guerrilla campaign.
Creative or guerrilla, it doesn't necessarily have to be.
Well, because we did quite a bit of a previous agency that I worked at prior to where I'm at. We did all of the advertising and promotions and publicity for the movie industry. And I think that's why my memory is so clouded, because it happens so frequently. And we set up all of the movie screenings all throughout the Houston area. And they were always just doing these innovative and cool things to hand out tickets and really utilize, because from a promotional perspective, they didn't have a whole lot of money because they were a PR team. They didn't have a whole lot of money to do too much, so they did a lot of guerrilla type marketing, just getting out there and trying to drum up interest for a given movie, whether they knew it was a good movie or whether it actually truly was a good movie. That was inconsequential. Their job was to drum up interest. And I can't remember, unfortunately, I can't remember any specifics, but I would go to the screenings and see the movies as they were coming out. I probably saw, at that time when I was at that agency, I probably saw 3 movies a week before they came out. I saw every movie that had been filmed between during those years that I worked there. And now I almost can't even stand to go sit in a movie theater anymore just because I've been so turned out by it. But I saw some really cool stuff. There was just some great guerrilla approaches to advertising and promoting the movies.
Yeah. Okay, so I have one more question because it's really good. So if you don't mind,
No.
what do you advise creatives what do you advise for creatives when designing for billboards?
Well, there's definitely some points that you need to take into consideration. You need to consider the fact that people are driving by those boards at 70 miles an hour, and it is not a newspaper ad. It's probably one of the biggest challenges that we have with our clients, because the clients may have a marketing message out there, either on broadcast or in print, and they think that they can just easily translate that message over to out of home. And we really have to battle with them to try to make sure that they understand that we're the experts and we do this all day long, and that we want them to have a successful campaign. And you need to use the right contrast. You need to be brief in the words that you use. The out-of-home product is a fantastic vehicle for being clever and really driving home that brand recognition, where you might just show, again, just thinking McDonald's, you might just show the Big Mac and the McDonald's arches. And their marketing campaign is actually, this past summer's marketing campaign was super simple. It may just show a Happy Meal with a smile on the box. That's all that needs to be said. You don't need to have a lot of words. You don't need to have this, while clever and catchy messages are fun and great and work really well on out of home. Sometimes it can just be a really powerful image that translates to something that you know, because you live in this world and you're exposed to marketing and media through other outlets, that it's recalling that message, and it's something that you're familiar with and you know, and simplicity is probably the answer, the short, easy answer to that question.
Yeah. Okay. So more of like a minimalist approach, I guess you could say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap things up. Thanks so much, Brad, for joining us tonight and answering all our questions. We really appreciate your time.
Of course.
And thanks to everyone who tuned in and asked your great questions. We will see you guys next month on Ad2 Live.